Welcome to History Through Games. I'm Aaron Taylor, with me as always, Scout Blum, here to play some games related to history. You know the background, we're related to a series of classes that have been taught by Scout that combine history and games together. But before we talk about the game, we have made a change for any of you that are fans of the show. We've moved into a new studio, a nice new fancier studio here, new playing surface, new everything. I know, Scott, you were excited when you walked in and saw this, but we're going to give new opportunities to see what's going on in these games. And today we're playing Votes for Women. Tell us a little about this game.
Yeah, so this is a game that's by a new designer. Her name is Tori Brown. It's published by Fort Circle Games. This is a really cool historical game. It's one that I hope a lot more historical games sort of move in this direction. It is technically a war game, and it's been getting a lot of buzz within a lot of communities and winning awards, and it's a really elegant kind of neat game, but Tori has done a good job, and we'll kind of talk about this, about what's in the game and what it emphasizes or does not. But Tori has done a good job with sort of thinking about the history of the suffrage campaign and sort of incorporating that into a game form. If you purchase the game as well, there's a whole bunch of sort of historical documents in there that she's done so that you can sort of see and get a feel for what some of those are like. But this game is basically, we start in 1848, which is a famous date for women's rights. It's the suffrage, beginning of the suffrage campaign with the Seneca Falls Convention, and it moves forward to ratifying the 19th Amendment. And most of the game is really about the ratifying the 19th Amendment.
And of course, with this, you know, we always talk about there's lessons to be learned, and sometimes on the games we played, we kind of stretch the historical elements of that. But this is one legitimately historical record here. Like we're talking about, you know, actually what took place in 1920 to ratify the 19th Amendment, or some potential revisionist history if my little opposition guys here say no. So just to let you know, we're keeping it, you know, I am going to be the opposition. I will be the patriarchy. I will be trying to bring down.
Yeah, bring me down.
The vote here. So let's go in and get started, because there's a lot involved in this game, but basically the goal is to pass the 19th Amendment.
Well, that is my goal.
Yes,
Aaron.
your goal. So
Not,
yes, mine is to say no, no,
you
no
are
vote.
Trying to stop me.
No vote.
So I'm trying to pass the 19th Amendment, and the way that I do that, there are two steps. So when you pass a constitutional amendment, the first thing that it has to do is get through Congress. So I'm going to be trying to fill up this area here with these columns to indicate that it's gotten through Congress. And then once it does get through Congress, then basically you have the states that are individually going to ratify it. And certainly that was the process that they went through with the 19th Amendment. Prior to that, prior to the 19th Amendment, there were states that had been ratifying or allowing women the right to vote, mostly in the North, in the Northwest. This was done as a way to kind of bring people out through the late 1800s and to gain some population by allowing women the right to vote. So while there were quite a few states that had already allowed women the right to vote individually, it wasn't really impactful because of the really small population there. But anyway, so what I'm trying to do is to get Congress to pass the 19th Amendment, and then to get 36 states. Now remember, we don't have Alaska or Hawaii yet, but to get 36 states to individually ratify it. And Aaron is going to be trying, if he can get 13 states
when little X is like this, say no, no.
13 states to not ratify it, then he wins. So he has one goal, I kind of have two here.
Well, let's get started here. We've got all these cards here. We'll get more into this. Strategy cards, state cards, which both of these have some form of strategy element to help or hurt the opponents there. We've got dice here that we're going to be rolling for some various things that are on these cards. We each have cards in our hands here that we're going to be playing, and then there's some other elements we'll introduce as we go into the game. but let's get started. So
Very good. All right, I'm going to put my glasses on
So
so
we
I
got
can actually see.
the first round is going to have one less element of it, so it's kind of a long process. There's only 6 turns. By the end of the 6th turn, if we don't ratify it, I win. So we're going to go from there. So
Right.
So you start or opposition starts?
I start, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So generally the game starts with a planning phase. We've already done that. We've gotten, planning phase just means we have 7 cards in our hand. We did that off camera. In addition, then there's a strategy phase where we're going to be bidding for these strategy cards, which give us certain powers. We're going to skip that in the first stage because we don't have anything to bid with yet. Those kind of come early in the game.
Yeah, all those right
So
down there,
now we are going to be in the third phase of the game, which is called the operations stage. And so Aaron and I have these cards, and we're going to be playing them to do certain things on the board to sort of get to our objectives. So I'm going to start with my Seneca Falls Convention, which is kind of appropriate because that was a really important event. And what the Seneca Falls Convention card says, and these cards you can do different things with them. We'll talk more about that later. One of the things you can do is there's a little thing written on the card that tells you certain actions to take. And what's neat that Tori has also done is down at the bottom, she's got this historical kind of link to sort of tell you why, what the Seneca Falls Convention was and what the Seneca Falls Convention was down here. There's this little, a little historical note, which is really cool. And there's some good images as well that she's incorporated into the cards. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and play this one, and it says, and these are our campaigners, and it says add 1 purple and 1 yellow. Now, what's interesting is Tori has, for me, for the suffragists, Tori has, the suffragists playing is 2 different colors. And what's really cool about this is that there was a lot of division within the people who were working for suffrage. There were actually 2 main organizations. They were often at cross purposes. They wanted to do different things, and they had different tactics. And
so some more extreme than the other. So there
yes.
were some that were a little bit more friendlier to the status quo, and some were a little bit more aggressive.
Right,
yes.
Exactly. One of the groups was very active in doing things like picketing in front of the White House and doing marches and demonstrations, and some of the more conservative women, thought that was just horrible and unseemly and all of that. Okay, so I get to place 2 of my campaigners, and these campaigners are really important. They sort of allow you to do all kinds of things, and we'll go through those in a minute. All right, so I've added one of those to the northeast region. We've got these 6 different regions in the game. And it says receive 2 buttons.
And buttons are currency in this
Yes.
game. So we're able to do a number of different things with the buttons as we go through the game.
Right. And then I get to add 2 cubes. These cubes are indicative of influence in the game. So the more cubes are on a state, the more influence you have there. So I have a lot of influence now in New York. If y'all will notice too that we have these little beads on the board. This is mainly just for me because I sort of forget things. We have 9 special states down here, and these beads are on those states. And it's just a way, the game doesn't come with one, but this is just a way to remind the players that there's something special about those states. If you get 4 cubes in one of these states with a bead, then you get one of these cards, which gives you some powers.
Yes.
So the beads are not included with the game, but they're just a way to sort of help me keep track of things. And anyway, okay, so that's my turn, and then Aaron now is going to play a card.
Now I'm going to play my card, and my
forth.
card allows me to add one of these patriarchy RRR guys in the South region. So it's going to go on the little, and we add these to the little dots here that say South, and that's where the opposition or the campaigners do. And now I get to add one of my little cubes in each state in the Northeast region, the Atlantic and Appalachia region, the South region, and the Midwest region. So I'm basically going to put a cube in every state.
Because the patriarchy is strong.
Yes, it is strong. So like every state is going to get one of these in basically the eastern part of the United States. Because as Scout said, the eastern part of the United States was more opposition to it, whereas there was a little bit more friendly in the northeast,
Definitely
south,
the
Midwest.
South was very unfriendly.
Yes, for a lot of, and throughout history, it was
Yes.
unfriendly for a lot of things.
Yes.
So, but there's a lot of cubes.
I know.
I should have started this process sooner. So, and then Appalachia. So, and then if some of these are so small, you can see like Maryland and Delaware. We've got to slide out New Jersey, Connecticut. Everything has to come out to. Oh wait, yeah, Northeast gets them too. So, all right, Maine. All right, that whole process there. So.
And so
then,
one of the things about the game too is that only one player's cubes can be on a state. So Aaron is supposed to add one to New York, but I already have two. So instead of him actually adding one, because we can't have the two colors, he's going to take one of mine away.
I'm going to take one away, put it there, and then discard my card there.
Right, and so now it is my turn. And so we're just going to kind of go back and forth. And you can play these cards to do different things. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's see. I think one of the things that I want to do is I want to sort of add some more to a region. So I'm going to play my Sojourner Truth card. Sojourner Truth was an early abolitionist activist, African-American woman, and she was also very active for suffrage. One of the things that Tori does really, really well in this game is she shows the diversity of the suffrage movement. And she has cards from about labor, working class women. She has cards about African American women. She has cards for Native women, indigenous women. She has, Hispanic women. So she does a really good job of showing the diversity of the movement in a lot of these cards. So Sojourner Truth, I need to roll a white die. Were you supposed to pick
I was supposed to pick up four badges, and I forgot to get them on my turn, so I just snagged them. So.
Okay, so I roll the white die, and I get a 6. And it says, add that number of cubes in the Midwest region, no more than one per state. So, Midwest.
So basically, you're going to get to clear cubes
6
off.
of yours, yeah. So I'll do 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep, that's it.
All right. And again, I can't add any of my cubes because his were already there, so I'm just taking them away. All right. Aaron.
All right, so mine. So I'm going to go and add some because old Dixie here, this card I'm about to play, says I get to add 1 cube in each of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. So the South adds cubes. And so now I'm looking at, and Georgia specifically is going to be important to add those cubes because if I add 2 more, I get the Georgia card. So, and Texas, there's a Texas card in play. So there we go. So I'm going to discard that card there.
All right. I am going to play my Women to the Polls card, which tells me to add 2 cubes in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So I can't see which one. There.
Delaware.
So I can
remove
take yours
one.
away and add one, and then
New Jersey. There you go. And then Vermont.
There is a purpose to splitting the purple and the yellow up. Aaron will have some cards that say like remove purple cubes or something. Okay, and then Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania is right there, PA.
Take you off and put a purple in. All right. Oh, I got to discard.
All right, so now I'm going to look and see at. And now, do we have to play? We play all of our cards out during this.
Right, we're going to go back and forth until we each have 1 card left.
Okay.
And then we kind of go.
Because I have the questions now. Because this is, I'm going to ask her because I don't know how to play it. She knows how to play it. There are certain cards on here that say they're only playable during certain events. So,
right.
So since I can't play those, what do I get to do with those cards at that point?
That's a good question. So you can do you have choices of 4 different things to do with your cards. You can do like Aaron and I have been doing and play them for what is written on the card, which is what a lot of you are going to be doing the very first turn just because you don't have a lot of options. But what Aaron can also do is it's what's called a campaigning action. So he can take however many people we have, right, you can take one of these. So for Aaron, say if he wants to do campaigning, he would take this card and discard it. He would take the number of die that he has for the number of campaigners. He has one campaigner, so we have one die. And then he rolls, this is campaigning. He rolls the die, and that comes out to be a 3. That would mean that he would be able to place 3 cubes in that area where the campaigner is. Okay, so that's campaigning. The other thing that you can do if you want to is you can just turn in the card, just simply discard it, and then you get that number of buttons or badges. So that's called an organizing action. And then there's also a lobbying action where you can turn a card in and you're rolling a dice, and if you get a 6, then you can add something down here.
All right.
Which is
well, then
risky.
I'm going to, then in that case, for this turn, I'm going to do a campaigning action then. So,
Why?
Because I have 15th and 18th Amendment cards, and they have not been played yet. So these would have been awesome cards if they had been played.
Right.
But including one that would have allowed me, if the 15th Amendment was in effect, I could have placed a cube in each of these southern states, which would have made me one more closer to getting the cards right there. But in that regard, I'm going to go ahead and play this card, and then I'm going to do the campaign. So then I've only got one guy on there, so I'm going to roll this, and it allows me to do 4.
Oh, wow.
So, which makes me think that I'm going to put 2 in Texas
and 2
in Georgia, which gives me the Texas and the Georgia cards, correct? So
yes.
So I get the Texas card, and I get the Georgia card.
Let me scooch these up a little bit.
All right.
All right, patriarchy is doing
patriarchy is
well.
dominating now, so.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, I want to get some more of these buttons because they're the currency in the game. So I am going to discard my Vindication of the Rights of Woman, which was a very influential book written by Mary Wollstonecraft in the 1700s. But I'm going to discard this card, and I'm going to do what Aaron did, which is campaign. But I get 2 dice. Okay, because I have 2 people. So I'm going to go ahead and roll them. Hopefully I'm not going to...
It kind of goes downhill there.
I know. Okay, so and then I assign these to each person that I have. And what I can also do is to, I did say that I wanted more buttons, and now I'm doing campaigning, but that's all right. All right, so I'm going to spend a button and move a person. I'm going to take a person down to the south, and now I have 3. So I'm basically going to be taking away 3 from Aaron somewhere. So he's already gotten Texas and Georgia. So I just want to sort of try to limit what he can do when we get to the vote. So I'm going to go ahead and take 1 from Texas, 1 from Georgia, and I'll take 1 from Alabama just because.
There we go. Because we're in Alabama, so there you go.
Yes,
Makes sense.
and I get to add 2 here in the Northeast region. So I'm going to add yellow to New York and another yellow in New Jersey.
All right.
I think that I'm done now. And next time I need to do more buttons because I'm now out of buttons.
All right, so then mine, just because it shows the back and forth, I'm going to play gerrymandering, which we're all very familiar with, especially in modern times and current Supreme Court cases. But it allows me to remove all yellow blocks, and this is why the colors become important in spreading them out, in up to 2 states, which gives me an indication now that I'm going to remove 2 yellows in New Jersey, which she just gained, and then there's 1 there in New York, so I can remove up to 2. So there we go. I've removed all of her work in New Jersey is gone now. So
I will warn y'all, this game has different variations to play. You could play like together instead of being cooperative. If you're playing with someone who like can't tolerate like horrible things happening to them, this is a game where, I mean, it really can be kind of aggressive and vicious. So,
and you said it is a war game, and it is because you're going back and forth. You were trying to
very much so
get as much as you can on the board. So
yes.
All right.
Okay, so I think I'm going to play Frederick Douglass, who was, again, another abolitionist, but who was also very outspoken for women's rights as well. And I am going to, I have to roll the white die. Please don't give me just a 1. A 5. And I get to add that number of cubes to the Northeast region, no more than 1 per state. So I'm going to 1 in New York, 2 in New Jersey.
She gets it right back again.
And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the 4 for New York, because then I get to
You get the card.
The card. And then that is my turn.
All right. Now, when do we get to play the state cards? When do these come into play?
So you can play those with a card on your turn when we're going back and forth. So you'd basically have something where you would do 2 cards in 1 turn.
Okay. All right. So let me see what I'm going to do. So now I am going to do this. So it's a New York newspapers, and it allows me to place 2 of my cubes in each of New York and New Jersey. So New Jersey this is the hottest spot in the game, because I'm gonna pull 2 out of there, and then you just claimed. So I'm taking 2 out of New York.
I feel like I'm going backward on an escalator.
Yes, it is there. And then I'm gonna do. And then you said I can play 2 of these, so I can play a state. So then I'm going to add this Texas, the Texas state now, Texas one, allows me to add 6 in the South region, but no more than 2 in each state. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go to Florida. I'm going to get me up to 3. That's 2. I got 6, right? So I'm going to put 1 in Alabama. I'm going to bump, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So
and the magic number is 4. If the 4 cubes are there, now we haven't done anything down here yet, but if the 4 cubes are there, then that state will switch. And I am like doing really, really badly. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn.
And this will be our last card, because it's 6. You said 6 cards, right?
Right. So I think I'm going to turn this one in, and it says, I'll just do the event. It says receive 1 button and add 1 cube in 1 state of each region. So I'll add 1 in California, 1 in Kansas. I will take away Texas. I will take away Virginia. I will take away Vermont and add 1 cube, and I'll add 1 to Illinois. I feel like I'm just doing nothing but taking your stuff away.
Well, it's a little bit back and forth. So,
right.
All right, so now on this one, I've got another amendment card on mine here. So I've got this 18th Amendment, beer brewers, which, we've got to fight, But there was a abolitionists and the prohibitionists worked together. I mean, prohibitionists says, right? Abolitionists, that's another thing about how to do with the South. But suffragists and prohibitionists, there was a lot of tied together with all of that. So, but for this, I can't do anything with this card, so I am going to trade that in and get another badge. So I have 5 badges here now. So because my first card, I forgot to get them. I had 4 badges I could get there. So this is currency. So already I'm bankrolled better than
much
the
better.
Suffragist are. So
okay, so that is the end of the first turn. So
we move
that up.
That there.
We're going to draw cards to make sure that we have 7 in our hands. So I'm going to take 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So we had 6 cards in our hand. So
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that does not count the state cards that we have.
Right.
So those are separate. So
correct. And that's all we do, right?
Do we need the strategy card? Is that?
Well, so that's the cleanup phase. Okay. So then we have the planning phase. We've gotten the cards. The next phase is the strategy phase. So we're going to be basically bidding on these, and I don't want to do that right now because he way has more money than me, and so we're going to just skip that phase because I'm not going to bid on anything.
Now, are you the only one to bid, or can I bid on that though? Can I?
I believe that you can bid on it as well if you want.
Okay. we'll worry
if
about that. We'll go on to the next thing. We'll let the strategy
All right.
cards sit for this round, and we'll
All
go
right.
on to the next round. So
Okay. So I think that I go first again, which I should because I am like disadvantaged
yes,
here.
of course you're disadvantaged.
So I think what I want to do is to campaign again. So I am going to, actually, you know what though? I think I'm going to play my Frances Willard card. Frances Willard was one of the women who was very active in Prohibition. And I'm going to play that card, and I can add a column here, and I can also get 2 more buttons.
So we're getting closer to ratification.
Yes,
there, so.
although you can take those down in some of the cards. Okay,
And
so that one.
so it's my turn now then?
It is your turn.
It is my turn. And in that regard, I am going to play my Senator Joseph Brown card, which removes 1 column from Congress.
Oh.
So it's all about removing things that Scout puts down. And then I add 2 to Georgia. Now, does it matter that I've got more than 4, or can it be just 4 on there? So,
I think you can put more, because
Okay.
remember, I can always take them
oh, that's
off.
true. That's true. So and I add 2 to Georgia. So there we go.
All right. I am going to play my National Women's Rights Convention, which makes me add a column back and put 1 cube in 1 state of each region. So I'm going to put back into California 1 cube. I'm going to take 1 cube out of Georgia. I am going to add a cube to Pennsylvania. Well, let's add 1 to Virginia. I'm going to add 1 to, oh, I've kind of skipped some states. I'm going to go there. We're going to go in Illinois. And we're going to go in New York. Why do I think that that's immediately going to get taken down? I'm playing with an evil person.
I am, because Horace Greeley is going to a very, very prominent individual in this era, and he's going to be a little nefarious and take. I can place 2 in New York and Connecticut, which means that I can remove 2 from New York, and then do I still have Connecticut? Yes, I do. So I can actually add 2 to Connecticut right there. So there we go. Horace Greeley does his work in the Northeast.
Okay, I think that I am going to campaign. So I'm going to get rid of this card. Take 2 dice, roll them. Oh, a 2 and a 3 again. Okay, so I'll do the 2 here and the 3 here. So I get to add 3 to 1 state. I'm going to add those to New York. And that means I get, oh, I've got the New York card.
Yes.
Maybe should we remove the beads when we've already picked up the card?
Sure, why not? Because I don't think it's going to matter anymore.
Right.
So yeah, so we'll do that.
Here, I'll put them over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I added, what was I supposed to be doing? Oh, 3 to New York, I did that. And then I get to add 2 in the south, or take 2 away. Is this, what's?
That's Georgia.
Is that
Georgia's
Georgia?
got 4, so it's like.
Okay, I'm taking 2 from Georgia. All right, there we go.
All right, so.
I guess I can hold on to these and then I can.
I'm going to go border states, and I'm going to add 1 to Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Missouri. So I'm going to go, let's see, Delaware. That means I'm going to remove 1 from Delaware because you had that. Let's see, Maryland. I have Maryland, so I actually get to add 1 there. West Virginia, I still have West Virginia, so I add 1 there. Kentucky, I still have Kentucky. And then Missouri. Missouri is open. There's nothing there, surprisingly. So Missouri now becomes in opposition.
Very good. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with Susan B. Anthony. And this is the card that says Susan B. Anthony is indicted. So she was trying to vote illegally, and she was doing that as a means of civil disobedience to actually try to get arrested to bring attention to all this. So Susan B. Anthony is indicted. I get 1 button, and I get to add 1 cube in 1 state of each region. So we'll kind of stick with our California. Well, let's do with a Utah theme. 1 state of each region. We'll go with Kansas. We will. I'm going to just kind of keep my strengths where my strengths are. We're going to get rid of 1 in Mississippi. Here, let's see, I'll add a purple to Virginia, and 1 in 1 state. I can take 1 away from Connecticut.
There you go.
All right.
All right, and so now mine, where was this one? Okay, so Senate rejects suffrage amendment. So I roll the 6-sided die. We haven't rolled a 6-sided die,
We have
yet,
not
have we?
yet.
So with this, I get to roll the 6-sided die, and on a roll of 3 to 6, I receive 1 badge and remove 1 from Congress. Now, what's interesting in this is that if I don't roll, I can pay for a re-roll with the badges, correct?
Right.
So
That's
I'm
one of
going to
the
make
things
my
that
roll.
badges can do, yes.
So I'm going to make my roll. Let's see. I'm going to roll over here around Arizona and New Mexico, so hopefully it'll stay there. So I get a 5, so I do not have to worry about a re-roll. So now I get to receive a badge, and then once again, we remove a column from Congress. So there we go.
We are not going very far here. All right. I am going to, let's see. I think the planes don't have a lot out here, so maybe I'm going to try to slip in. I get to roll the white die, and I'm going to put that number in the plain states, 2. So I can put 1 here, and I pick up the Kansas card.
Yes.
And then I can also put 1 in. We'll go way north to Montana. I think also I'm going to play this New York card right now. It says add 6 cubes to the northeast region, no more than 2 per state. So I'm going to go 2 in New Jersey. I'm going to take 2 out of Connecticut. Sorry. And I'm going to, take 1 out of Massachusetts and add 1 to Massachusetts.
All right.
All right, so that's the New York card.
All right, so I have even more roll cards here for the 6-sided die, so I'm going to pull out here. And this will allow me, South Dakota rejects suffrage. So now on this one, if I roll, I could remove a column, but there's no columns to remove.
Right.
But I do get to add 2 in South Dakota if I get a successful roll. So I'm going to make my roll, and that is a successful roll, so I get to add 2 to South Dakota. It's my first ones, past the Mississippi. I'm starting to make my way. Well, Texas is technically, but it's the South. We don't count it. So the South we dominate anyways here. So in this game. So
all right. I am going to play my Union Signal card, which allows me to take another button, and it also allows me to add 1 cube in 1 state of each region. So I'm going to do...
You get a lot of those. So
I know. Well, it's 1 cube,
yes.
though, which is easy for you to take away.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 here. I'm going to do 1 in, another 1 in, well, let's spread it out. Wyoming. I'm going to do 1 here, so I get to take the Illinois card. I'm going to do, let's see, we will take 1 away from Arkansas. And I will take 1 away from West Virginia, and I will take 1 away from Rhode Island. The Northeast is turning toward me now.
Ah, all right. And so on my last card that
well, we play till, that's okay. Now we stop.
Oh.
Because you leave 1 card
One
in your
card
hand.
in your, oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, so that's the end of that turn.
End of that turn.
So we're going to move that up.
Ahead.
We're going to pull cards so that we have 6, 2, 3, or 7, sorry, total on hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm not counting those guys.
All right.
Okay, So now we need to strategy phase. So I think I'm going to try. We've got some strategy cards. Again, these sort of give us extra powers. So we've got reconsideration, which basically, once a state has passed or denied the 19th Amendment, it gives you some extra powers, or it actually allows for you to replace that. A counter strategy.
So remove a card that's in effect.
Right, remove a card that's in effect.
We don't have any effect cards right now.
Not yet.
So.
Or national focus, add 2 in one state of each region. So I kind of think that this national focus might help me the most now. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to say I will have spend 3 buttons to try to get that one. Now what Aaron has to do is if he decides he wants that card, then he plays 4. So he outbids me for that card. If he wants the card himself, then he has to play 4. Either way, we lose all of those cards. Now he can just ignore what I've done and just let me have it too if he wants.
So let's play through it, and I'll say.
Yeah, let's do that.
So if I do,
be mean.
Yeah. So, but if I do 3, what happens if I play 3? So do I have to bid more than you, or have to bid?
Well, if you play 3, then what happens is no one gets it, but I lose those 3 tokens, but you lose your 3 tokens too. If you play 4, then you get the card.
I get the card, but I lose the tokens anyway. So no matter
Right.
what. So I'm only so playing 4. I get the card,
Right.
and we all lose tokens.
Yes.
So I'm going to bid 4 for it then.
So you win.
I win the card,
lose.
and we all lose the tokens.
All right.
And then I've got the National Focus Strategy card. So, all right. See, I had the bankroll, so I went for it.
You did.
So.
You've got more of those buttons than me.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I have to go first. All right, so now we're in the next round. So, however, Aaron,
Yes.
I'm going to play my club movement card, which allows me to receive 4 buttons.
Ooh. She has more buttons than me now.
I know. All right, your turn.
All right. I am going to, I didn't look at my cards yet, so got a lot of amendment.
I'm worried about this. I can't find any of those boogers to.
All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to play, first I'm going to play the Georgia card. The Georgia card allows me to get 2 buttons back. So I receive 2 buttons here.
Okay.
So I play that, and I get 2 buttons. So that's why I knew I had that card up my sleeve, so I knew I could bid a little bit more there for that. So I saw that. So, and then I'm going to Southern Hospitality, which is going to allows me to play, of course, but I just get to scatter them all over the South. So I get 1 in Virginia.
How many are you going to put in there?
It's 1.
Oh,
so,
just 1.
1 in Virginia, which is not technically in the South. Actually, so that means I just remove it from you. So that's yours. And then North Carolina, I can put that there. South Carolina, so I've got 4 there. I don't like your chances in the South if we go to a vote here at this point.
Historically, obviously.
Oh, yes. So your chances were not great in there anyway. So Tennessee's not in the South in this game. It's interesting. So but it is Appalachia, so I guess that works. So all right.
Well, and it was actually the last state to ratify.
Yes.
So. Okay. So I think I am going to play the 15th Amendment. So the 15th Amendment was what guaranteed the right to vote for black men. It says playable if the Civil War is not in effect. We don't have the Civil War card out. So it's going to roll, I'm going to roll a red die. And if I get a roll of 3 to 6, I get to do things. So come on. All right, I'm going to spend a button.
Spend a button,
re-roll. Come on, little die. Help me out.
3,
yay,
there
okay.
you go.
Okay, so I'm going to add 2 columns to Congress. And I get to add 8 cubes. The 15th Amendment was kind of a mixed blessing. We are sort of expanding the vote, but for a lot of women, this made them really, really angry. And it's really going to divide up the women's movement because it was only for, black men were the only ones who were guaranteed the right to vote. And they had been pushing and pushing to try to get women included in that as well. and to have the abolitionists support, well, I guess they're not abolitionists anymore. Okay, so a 2 in, I'm talking and I'm not paying attention. Add 8, no more than 2 per state. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all these little cubes. Oh dear.
Oh, you got it.
I got it. Okay, I don't know if we'd see it on the floor.
Yeah, I know. It'd be
Okay, I'm going to do California, and then I get to take the California card. I get to do, let's see, no more than 2 per state. I will add 1 here, and I think I'm going to sort of go to,
Oh, there you go.
and here and here. All right.
All right. So for me now, this is the first time I actually get to play one of my playable cards. So if the 15th Amendment is in effect, the card says, I get to remove all purples in up to 4 states. Oh. And then the suffragist player loses 2 campaign buttons. So you get to lose 2 of those. So I get to remove all the purples in up to 4 states, which means California.
And read the title of the card.
And it's the 15th Divides Suffragettes. Right. This is exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to remove, my second one, I'll do New York. And then I'll do Kansas, because that's where the most of yours are. And then the last one, let's see, I did California, New York, Kansas, and then New Jersey, I guess, since you've got 2. And actually, no, I know you got 2 there, but I'm going to take it out of Virginia because of the state card possibility there. So even though I only removed 1, it takes you 1 away from that. But once again, you just talked about how the 15th Amendment divided the suffragettes, right, and you just lost a whole bunch of support as a result.
I know. Okay. All right. I am going to, let's see. I think I'm going to play this, well, let's see. For the remainder of the term, roll 6 instead of the 4 when taking. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this property rights for women, which started to happen. They started some campaigns around the time of the Civil War, or rather were working between 1848 and around 1860s for property rights for women. If you were married, you weren't allowed to own property. Okay, but what it does is when I'm campaigning, it allows me to use a die that can get higher rolls. So I'm going to go ahead and play that one, and then in addition, I will play. And
is that only for you, or is it for the suffragettes, or is it for anybody?
I think that's for everybody.
Okay, all right.
And so what I'm also going to do, though, is I'm going to play my Illinois card, which allows me to add to the Midwest region, and I get to add 6 cubes. Or I can take 3 away.
There you go.
And add 3. We'll spread things out a little bit. Iowa. All right, there we go.
Okie dokie. So let's see. I'm going to do this. Senator George Vest, which allows me to remove 1 column from Congress. There we go. There you go. There it is. So you see it there. And then I add 2 to Missouri. So I'm going to add 2 cubes to Missouri. So there we go.
All right. And I think I'm going to take advantage of this card that I just put out there. So the property rights for women. So I'm going to campaign. So I'm going to take 2 red dice, and I can use them instead of the blue dice to campaign. 2 and 3. Why do I keep getting 2s and 3s?
You would have been better off with the 4.
Okay. So yeah, I know. It would have been the same numbers. So I can add 2 here. I'm just going to remove those.
All right. So I'm out of the Northeast now.
You're out of the Northeast now. And 3, so there's no empty state, so I can't add anything. In fact, why don't I'll spend a badge, a button, and I will move to the plains. Actually, I'll move to the west. And then I will put 3 in Utah.
And get the card.
Get the card.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
We're moving right along.
And then I'm going to do minor versus Happerset. I'm going to roll my red here, and then if I get successful roll, I get to remove another column and then add 2 to Missouri. so it's just more and more of taking away.
We're never going to get the 19th Amendment. 6.
6. So I think that's a successful roll there.
Yeah, most certainly.
So I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to add 2 more to Missouri. So it's not looking good for the suffragist
It is
movement.
not. However, I'm going to go ahead and play this card, petition to Congress. So I get to add 1 column back.
There we go.
This is like rolling, that Sisyphus rolling a stone off the hill. And I also get to add 1 cube in 1 state of each region. So I'll take 6 of these little guys. I will add to New Mexico. Oops, to New Mexico. I will take 1 out of Florida. I will take 1 out of here. I will add 1 to Colorado. Did I take 1 out of the Atlantic already? I'm not paying attention very well. Okay.
No, you haven't. Not the Atlantic. So.
Okay.
But Delaware, you could actually add 1 to Delaware. There's nothing in there. So.
I could add 1 to Delaware. I'll do that. Okay. All right. There we go.
All right. And so this next one I'm going to do it's the Civil War. We're going to the Civil War will be in action. And so what happens is I'm going to remove 1 from Congress. And then for the remainder of the turn, the suffragist may not add any cubes to a state in the Atlantic, Appalachia, or the South. So at this point, and then we can have 2 of these going at the same time.
Right.
Right. The timed over here. So now we've got the Civil War, and we've got your other one there. So, but now you cannot add any to this area, the area affected by the Civil War. So.
And again, this is sort of a neat thing about the game with this sort of accuracy, because the Civil War did put a damper on all kinds of different activism, obviously. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I'll try lobbying, because I need some more of these things. And I don't remember which die we use when we lobby. Let's see. Lobby is this one. And for as many campaigners as I have. So I get to do 2, and then I get to roll. If I get a 6, I can put a thing up. No. All right. I don't have many badges, many buttons, so I can't really waste them. All right.
All right, so I've got just a random weird card here. So it's like, it's draw 6 cards from your draw deck, place any number of the 6 cards.
You can do campaigning or lobbying or something.
Oh,
else.
I could do that.
Well, you don't want to do lobbying.
No, I don't want to do that.
Campaigning or.
I'll do that. How about, that's a good point. I am going to do that. So I am going to.
Or organizing if you want more badges.
If I turn it, I get a badge, right?
Right.
So I'm going to turn it in and get a badge. That's good, because that was a weird card. I didn't understand it, and I'm not going to. It was like drawing cards, and it took a lot of time. We've only got about 10 minutes left in this. So.
Oh goodness.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the end of that round.
Yes.
We're going to move this
Move that to 4.
Ooh, I think I just moved the table. Okay. Take 6 more cards. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
And here's something about the game. These cards have time periods on them, which we didn't talk about, but through our decks, I just moved into the middle era of my cards here. There's an early, a middle, and a late, and it reflects kind of what went on during
those
the movement,
specific
time periods there. So my cards have moved, and the old ones here were early, so now we've gone to a different era in our cards.
Yes. Okay. We need to get these pillars up. So I'm going to play, okay, so this is a really powerful card. This is Inez Milholland, who was a really well-known suffragette. And so I'm going to play that. I'm going to put 1 column up. I'm going to receive 2 buttons for her, and I can put 1 cube in 1 state of each region. So 1 here, 1 here. Does anyone have 3? Louisiana has 3. I'm going to add 1 to Virginia. I'm going to add another to Ohio, and another to New York. All right.
All right. So, and we're 15th minute. Oh, did those cards clear at the end of the turn too?
No, I think these ones?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think that they do.
I think they clear at the end of the turn, so if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken. So,
We will play it that way anyway.
and
Yeah, it says cards in effect for the rest of the turn.
So we've got to do that part. But okay.
But
all right.
these stay forever.
Yes, they do.
Well, not literally.
So if the 18th Amendment is not in effect, this is the card I'm going to play. I get to place 2 in Arizona and 1 in each of New Mexico, Nevada, and Utah. So I'm going to put 2 in Arizona, 1, 2, and then I've got New Mexico, which you have 1. So I'm just going to remove your New Mexico, and then I'll remove 1 from Utah, and then Nevada, put 1 in Nevada. So there you go.
Okay. I am going to play the Emmeline Pankhurst card. Again, she was she was a British suffrage leader. I get to roll 2 red die, and I get to add that number of cubes anywhere, no more than 2 per state. So 7, 3, 7. I get to add 7 cards, no more than 2 per state. I'm going to add 1 in Utah, 1 in Wyoming, 1 in Ohio, so I can get the card. Not that that's going to help me because we're out of time almost. And I'm going to take 1 away from Florida. I'm going to add 1 to New York. I think that's all I can do, right?
I think so.
Wait, and I didn't do the green.
Oh, yeah, no, you didn't. So,
okay.
All right.
All right, and I'm going to play one of these cards because I keep forgetting about them.
You have all the state cards.
I know, I have all these state cards. Okay, so I'm going to, this is the Kansas card, add 6 cubes in the Plains region, no more than 2 per state. Oops. Okay, Plains region, little slippery boogers. Okay, no more than 2 per state, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, Montana's looking good there for you there. All right, so I'm going to play my card now. This is a threat to the ideal of womanhood. For the remainder of the turn, the suffragist player must spend a badge in order to play a card as an event.
Oh.
So you have to spend your badges in order to do
That's
events.
rude.
Yes, it is very rude.
Before we run out of time,
Yes.
I think one of the things that Tori has done very well is to sort of mimic some of the things that were going on in the movement. I think one thing that the game does downplay is the racism that was within the suffrage movement. We have this tendency to think of suffrage as this, good guys versus bad guys kind of thing, where, but in reality, what we saw was that the women get very angry about the 15th Amendment. And so they've been working with the abolitionists and civil rights people for a very long time, and some of them get so disillusioned that they start turning against them. And so we begin to see at this point a lot of the women using very racist language in order to push for the right to vote. They sort of turn their backs on their former colleagues. And so even people like Susan B. Anthony. The game has this in it. There's a card called the Southern Strategy. But I mean, certainly this was a big component of why women were able to get the right to vote, because they were appealing to white men who, and then basically what they were sort of saying was, you've allowed black men the right to vote, don't let white women be under them, was basically their language. So there was some of this very problematic kind of language. And I think Tori has it in there, but it is downplayed a little bit. But anyway, this is just a fantastic game, and I always
and we are running sort of low, so
Yeah.
let's we may that be kind of our last turn here. We did not get to the ratification
At all,
phase
right.
of this. So and the game itself says it takes about 60 to 75 minutes to play, and this is the program's an hour, so there's a chance we weren't going to make it. Not the first time, but
Right,
we
haven't
haven't finished the game.
We chit-chat.
We chit-chat, but the goal is, we want to kind of touch on the learning aspects of this game. And to me, of all the games that we've played, and we played a number of them here, this one I felt was the most educational, to be perfectly honest. I mean, because of the elements of the cards, the facts and information on it, and the just gaining knowledge. So this is one of these games where we've glanced on history on some of it, but this one, to me, I feel is the most educational when it comes to history we've played so far.
Well, and also, to me, I mean, the sense of the struggle that you're going through in this game as well, because again, you know, when we say, oh, women got the right to vote, you sort of think it was a foregone conclusion, you think it was easy, but it was not. And the women struggled and fought over, you know, tactics and how to do things.
And just the fact that, you know, on here, on the board, it says 1848 to 1920.
Yeah.
To know that was, I mean, I didn't even know the Civil War played a factor in this movement. And obviously it should have. I mean, you don't think about that, but you're thinking of the range of time and all of the various elements. Because, I mean, I knew there was stuff about prohibition and suffragists and things like that. There were some issues. And I knew abolitionists play a factor in it, but I never thought about the fact that the suffragist movement went so far back that it predated the Civil War.
Right, right.
And all of that, the elements of there, and then just like you said about the 15th Amendment, that's some things that I learned something today about that. I did not know about the animosity between the two movements there.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So you know, I'd always had this impression through history that abolitionists and suffragists were kind of parallel because they were both working against the white patriarchy in the United States. And so they were looking at, you know, to fight that, but obviously there was some division, and I learned that through this game. Yeah.
I really like this game. I mean, it's a very good. I think it's going to be a very good educational tool. I think the students are going to love it. I really enjoy how Tori has set this up, and it's one of the, I think, the really good history games that people are going to start looking to. To kind of see what to do with games. And
it's one of those things where once again it's a battle game. And
yes.
and you talked about it's a war game, and I would not, and how its classification is a war game. Like, this is about voting, but I mean, as we know, you know, Congress can get downright dirty.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
absolutely.
like even to the modern day. So there is a lot of fight back and forth, and you're trying to, and as we saw early on, you know, if this were Risk. For anybody who plays, there's no way she was going to get past the South.
No.
I mean, it was, and that was right out from the get-go that I had, you know, domination in this area, and you see it spread out. But then again, we were ignoring this part of the country for so long.
Right.
But the moment you got into it, you have states that are either going to ratify or get close to it. If we had gotten to that point.
Well, let's just say if we stopped. And let's say we had all 6 cubes.
Yes.
Let's see how many checks, and let's see who won the check and X's fight.
I think you actually won because
I may have. I may have gotten more states.
Yeah. Well, right now I only have 1 state with 4 in it right now.
Ooh.
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Ha!
So if there was a vote and it was majority rules.
Oh,
you
no, wait,
won.
New Jersey.
Yeah, you got New Jersey, which was the battleground state when we first started. As crazy as it was in the South for me for so long, South Carolina was the only state I actually won of all of them. So obviously I dominated in the South, but Missouri was close, but honestly, like towards the end, because you shifted your focus out there.
I did, yeah.
And once again, the West and the North and Northwest and West were the ones that ended up pushing the movement through. So surprisingly, if we had done a vote, you would have won, even though it looked as if I was dominating the game.
Right. But I mean, I couldn't get those.
No.
You know.
Couldn't get there because I kept knocking those away.
Right.
Well, anyways, Scout, this was an amazing game. Like I said, educational. Most educational game that I think we've played so far. I'm looking forward to future games, including one that you have created that hopefully we're going to play down the road. But thanks again for joining us for playing Votes for Women. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a thing or two. Thanks for joining us on History Through Games.